the hallucination of wanting to look swole causes so much dysfunction and pain in a man's world. And there are so many men that I've walked with that want to look a specific way, so they then feel validated for how they look, so they can receive love. That really took me, and I was like, wow, I didn't even know that I was suffering from this. And now that I am, how can we better this? How can we actually form a relationship with ourselves and gym and working out and eating well, that is not going to come from a space of pain, that is going to come from a space of I'm loving myself.
All right. Welcome everyone to the High Performance Management Podcast, episode 5. I'm joined here with Douglas, owner of Amongst Men, Amongst Queens, the Hot Throne, and what was the final one? Sorry,
Lux Royale.
Lux Royale. So it mixes, personal development, community, and performance and dance all into one. And it's a really interesting take on everything, and I think he's making some waves at the moment in Perth as well. So thanks so much for coming on, mate. I'm really excited to talk about some interesting topics today and a bit of your journey. So we'll just start, man. Like I know your journey's been really interesting when we had our chat the other day. So I think we'll start there. Like, you're Amongst Men's. I think would you say that's your premier thing that you've worked on the most up until now?
Yes, that is my first official business that I launched, Amongst Men.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, give us an insight. Like, what is that? How did it start?
Yeah. Thank you for having me here, firstly, brother. So, Amongst Men, it was a pivotal moment in my life. It was on the brink of when COVID happened. And as soon as COVID happened, in the 6-month time frame when I was faced with the new regulations and the mandates that were coming in, I personally didn't feel aligned with the mandates that were coming in. And I was like, I don't want to do all of these things. I don't want to wear a face mask because I like my breath. And there were a lot of values that were coming into my life that I didn't align with. So I wanted to stick to my guts and stick to my soul and my spirit and just trust in what I was doing. And that gave me the permission to step out and the opportunity for me to be like, okay, cool, I'm going to fucking triple down on myself and be of service and charge people money to be of service to them. And I genuinely wanted to help people on a deep level. So for me, I was then faced with the review of my life, where I had to look at, what am I really good at? What problems can I fix in society? Or what solutions can I provide for the issues that exist in society? And how can I have a lot of fun doing it? And how can I make money doing this as well? I believe the Japanese call this the ikigai. And when I reviewed my life, I noticed that I was I'm an incredible dancer. I've done a fuckload of personal development on myself. And I noticed that there were a lot of men in Western culture that don't dance, that don't move. They move in terms of like mechanical movements when they go to gym or when they play sports. However, when I go out to clubs or go out to dance floors, I notice a lot of men just have their alcohol in hand, and they're standing by the side and the music is playing, and they're quite disconnected and disassociated with fun, play, and they needed a permission like alcohol to get them there. So for me, I'm a naturally playful person, and I love dancing, and every club that I go to or every dance floor that I hit, I just tear it up. So I was like, cool. The issue that I see in my eyes is men are not moving enough, or men are stagnant. And stagnation is no good for performance, as you know this. And my mission then became, how can I get men to move? How can I get men to move away from stagnation and move away from being stuck? Because in my experience of life, when I didn't dance and when I didn't move, and when I was in stagnation, there were other areas of my life that were also in stagnation. And I was like, cool, man, this is the fucking problem. Let's get men moving. So I came out with a 10-week course on how to break down dance. And I involved personal development in there in a way where when a man is faced in front of the mirror, there's a lot of fucking shit that comes up when it comes to self-acceptance, self-love, and not being able to be compassionate towards yourself or forgiving towards yourself. And there were a lot of deep opportunities to have potent conversations with men about their relationship with themselves. And from that space, we then build men up into loving themselves more and hyping themselves more and reclaiming their confidence through dance. And then weaving in performance as to how a man how a man can show up and perform in life as a high performer. And yeah, the more I felt into this mission, I just got goosebumps all the time. I was energized, bro. Just so fucking energized. Like, yes, like I get to do this. I get to fucking do this. This is incredible. And I'm giving you the short version of the story. I'm deeply passionate about men's work and helping brothers of this earth because of the amount of men that take their lives. Right. I'm pretty sure the stats something like 1 out of every 4 men in Australia kills himself. If that is the threshold, imagine the amount of men underneath that don't take their life but are suffering. And I want to just help as many men as I can. And I was like, man, I'm here to help brothers. I'm here to help men. I'm here to help brothers to love themselves again and to be compassionate towards themselves. And the more I spoke this out, my mission was being spoken out by myself and other men, and it just started attracting men into my movement, and that birthed amongst men. And we've been running for more than a year, heading into 2 years next year, March. And we've just finished up our last round of season 6, and that was dope. And we're heading to season 7.
That's awesome.
Heading into season 7 in October. I've helped more than 50 men in Perth alone now, unlocking freedom in their body with dance and movement.
That's awesome, man. I think I really keen to dive into what you've personally noticed as well from this transition of these men, because I think like if we go laterally and go, okay, business wise, like most people want to see how you're actually gonna serve them. Like they can look at posts and it doesn't resonate, but if you're showing, okay, this is actually why you're coming. But then also on the personal side, because I'm also, I deal with men, I'm interested to see what you've seen, because like I know I agree in Western world, I don't know, it's probably very deeply rooted through programming and what's expected of us, but what men do and how we act is very deeply entrenched. So like changing that over those 10 weeks that you do, what's kind of the biggest thing that like you didn't even know? Like what was something that took you by surprise once you started seeing these men like unlock these deep things? Because obviously you got a bit of sense as well, right? Like I feel like you have to be a certain person to even start something like this. So you've been on your own journey, and maybe you gotten used to being that type of guy, but now you see these guys who used to be where you are, right? Like, what's the biggest thing that surprised you? So I went in a bit of a round circle then, but like over your transformations.
Good question, man. The biggest thing that surprises me. There's a few things, bro. There's a few, I guess I can focus on like few reference points that men are at right now. And when I speak them, maybe the listeners can resonate with this as well. It doesn't get spoken about, but body dysmorphia for men. Body dysmorphia for men. Like men are so, and I'm going to speak from my perspective and also the perspective of my brothers that have walked with me in this program. We share this common problem of not being adequate in how we look in terms of how a body looks. And there are so many other examples in this world when it comes to a higher value in terms of perception when it comes to body image, which is being shredded, which is being jacked, and just looking swole as fuck. And I think we slightly touched on Arnie Arnold Schwarzenegger at the start, or even before this podcast, sorry, we touched on him, and I love how he brought out bodybuilding, and it's such a beautiful lifestyle when done properly. But now it's so distorted, and the hallucination of wanting to look swole causes so much dysfunction and pain in a man's world. And there are so many men that I've walked with that want to look a specific way, so they then feel validated for how they look, so they can receive love. That really took me, and I was like, wow, I didn't even know that I was suffering from this, and now that I am, how can we better this? How can we actually form a relationship with ourselves and gym and working out and eating well, that is not going to come from a space of pain, that is going to come from a space of I'm loving myself.
Yeah, because it's important though, right? Like we need exercise. Like you're an absolute idiot to think you can't exercise and just like achieve some success. You need to, like, especially now, like obesity. Like I also think it's important to show up in that way as well, because it does translate to other areas. It's very important. But yeah, that's an interesting point. Like, yeah, body dysmorphia, it's definitely not talked about. Like I've competed personally. I'm lucky I didn't have to deal with that, but maybe going a bit deeper, I've just had these thoughts come in, so I'll open up the conversation. But like that need for acceptance, I do think it comes down to the Western culture as well, where we kind of lacking actual meaning. Where, you know, like we don't really have these deep morals about, you know, being a provider and doing things, like, especially in Australia, it's just like, oh mate, let's get in the beers, like, and that's kind of it. You're like a hero how many drinks you can have. Whereas like I think lacking that proper meaning and clarity and like sense of why you're alive, and not just going to the gym so that you can attract a mate, like that's probably a deeper thing. I assume anyway. That's what you touch on as well. You get into that deeper meaning for men.
Yes, bro. Yeah. I think the key word here is like perceived value, like perceived value around your peers and who your friends are. Like if your friends and your environment perceive you drinking X amount of beers equals you're a fucking legend, then you will want to be a high value individual in that environment. And if you're in an environment where you lifting 100 kilos on the bench equals high value, then that you like intrinsically, a man who's in that environment, of course, like he'd want to be successful in that, to gain value, to feel accepted, to feel loved. And at the end of the day, it's like receiving love. Like men just really deeply want to be loved, bro. We just deeply want to be loved. However, what we don't do is communicate that. It's like, hey, I actually really need a hug right now. Hey, I actually really need help right now. Men don't ask for help. Men don't communicate their desires, so they don't directly get love. So what we do is do things so that then we can get love, because that's probably how we were raised by our parents. Like, hey, if you do this, clean the dishes, go clean your room, you can then have these rewards, right? So men are programmed like that.
Yeah, it's
so,
like
conditional love. Yeah. Oof. And I am so that as well, man. And I'm trying to unlearn this in my relationships that I have in my life. And not only that, man, as I said, like perceived value, this is huge, because being a high value man is very important for me as a man. I believe the higher your value is in a room, for myself, the higher my value is in a room, I feel confident. I know the value that I bring into a space. When I walk into it, I'm like, hey, I know that I bring a lot of value to conversation. I know I bring a lot of value to space in terms of energy and hype. I know I bring a lot of value in terms of just my presence. And when it comes to confidence and men killing themselves and men suffering in the threshold of almost killing themselves, they are just at a very low at a stage in their life where they perceive their value to be really low, and they're like, my value is worth nothing, I am worthless, and I probably don't deserve any love because I don't bring any value, and I haven't done enough for me to get love.
Yes,
So,
yes.
you see that?
Dude,
And
it's like a downward spiral as well. Because it's like if you're not confident, then like I just did a post on this. It's like your confidence dictates how hard things are. So like you're right, you literally hit it on the head. Because then if you're not confident, then everything's going to be hard, and that's why men are suffering. Because it's like, and then it's just like this like fucking cycle of just like beating yourself up because you don't think you're good enough, but then because you're not good enough, your actions are shit. So it's like,
truth,
yeah,
truth, bro, that is it. It is confidence. You can confidently fail. Like, oh,
that's it.
fuck, you know, I just failed. Oh, well, you can still get up and own that shit. However, there's this interesting emotion in the human experience called shame and guilt, which we don't like feeling, right? A lot of people avoid pain in life. A lot of people avoid shame and guilt, right? And shame and guilt separates us from a group and from showing up and being vulnerable with how one can truly feel. So, and shame and guilt dispels confidence.
Yeah.
It
It's an
literally,
unresourceful state.
yeah, yes, bro. So when a man is in his lowest point and has no like he perceives himself to have no value or a sense of belonging, the amount of shame and guilt that a man feels would be so immense. And I've been here, man. I've personally been at the point where I've almost taken my life about 6 years ago. And I was contemplating on putting a belt around my neck to choke myself out. And I was depressed and I was in the lowest state of being. I was not confident at all. I was told to approach two beautiful girls as a challenge by my mate when I was at the state. And when I did so, I was like, hey, ladies. And they both looked at me and I fucking froze and I didn't know what to say. I froze up and I was like in so much shame and guilt. I went into my mind. My mind started rattling and I was like, oh, shit. And that was actually a pivotal moment in my life because my relationship to shame and guilt is that when I feel shame and guilt, I immediately want to get out of it. So what I did was I started putting a lot of work into myself. I'm like, man, I want to be able to speak to women. So I started doing courses. I started learning how to pick up women just so I can get out of that state, which saved my life. However, a lot of men might not have the drive that I do when I feel those emotions to get me out of those emotions. But yeah, shame and guilt is the very lower. If you're into energy and biology, it's at the very lower base chakra of where we're at on the human body. That's where shame, guilt, and fear comes from. And what's also really interesting that I've noticed, man, you asked me this in this movement is men's hips, how locked our hips are. And it just is so interesting that shame and guilt is also in that same area, that a lot of shame and guilt get trapped in that area where our sexual organs are, where our life force comes from. Our hips are so locked with no, let me put it into a metaphor. Like if you were to have a glass of water, right? And you would just shift that glass of water left, right, back and forward in terms of movement compared to a river and water flowing through a river as movement. Men's hips are like that glass of water just being shifted back and forth. Not much life flows from that state. And because of that, they then don't have the ability or the awareness to fully feel shame and guilt, to accept it and feel it and move through it. Instead, they try to escape it and push it down and don't work on themselves. And this is really dangerous as well, because this can suppress emotions, which takes them out.
Yeah.
Which makes them suffer.
Yeah. No, that's really cool, man. Like that you've noticed that, especially being a dancer, you would see it. Like you get these guys come in, and you know that they're that way because you can see it in their body, because you know the mind keeps the score, right? And then over time, like, do you see them like physically get looser as their mind gets looser?
Yes, bro.
That's cool.
What I notice is this: men that have their hips locked, in terms of their expression and the zest in their expression, I'm talking about like expression as in like words, gestures, facial gestures,
Mm.
and movement, like in terms of like their movement, not only in dance, but how they walk, their posture. When their hips unlock and when they get confident in just moving their hips in fluid motion and like left and right, up and down, I notice their expression go up. I notice their confidence go up. I notice the zest and the energy go up. The energy goes up, bro. How they speak, they sound deeper in how they speak because they're unlocking this part of their body which they might have not moved for a long time.
Yeah, they get more certain, man. They're like, they back themselves, they believe themselves, they're confident. That's it, man. That's cool as. I love that.
Yes, sir.
That's wicked.
Yes, sir. I highly, highly, highly recommend every man to step into any dance academy and fucking giving it a shot. Because every man that not every man, but most men that I speak to right now, I'd be like, hey man, like, do you want to come dance? Their body just immediately like goes into shock or like,
no, mine does, bro. Like, it freaks me. Like, yeah.
Dance? What the fuck? Dance? And that's a very interesting response, man. And I look those men in the eyes and I ask them like, why not? They go, I don't know how to fucking dance. I have 2 left feet. I don't know how to dance. I need alcohol. Give me a beer, or give me a couple of beers, or give me a pinger, then I'll dance.
Yeah.
Which I find really, 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 really sad, man. Like I really feel that in my body. When I hear a person say that, like their soul, I know their soul and their spirit within them wants to unleash and have fun and have the permission to let loose and be wild and have fun, have fucking fun. Like I can't express that enough. That I know that their spirit wants to do that. However,
no, but it's so true though, because sorry, man, but like I just gotta jump in. It's so true because like you even see, like I've heard it, like you're out at the club and like they literally they say, oh, that guy's dancing. I wish I could dance like that. Like you literally hear it. So it's like they it's like when people judge, they're not really like putting that person down or whatever. It's they're trying to make sense of why they can't do it. And it's like the same thing. Yeah, that's cool. So I had to jump into that because I've seen that personally. It's like guys will say, I did a bit of breakdancing when I was younger, but like, so I'm not going to say I'm like, I've got rhythm. I play guitar and that, like, I understand that, but like, yeah, I definitely still got that like bit of a, oh, that's uncomfortable. But like, I can imagine like guys that, you know, don't even do anything and they just will kind of feel uncomfortable. Like that'd be very impactful. Cause then there's like when you're certain in your speech, that's one thing. Putting your ideas out there and taking courage to say an idea, and whether you're wrong or right, you just back yourself. But then expressing that through movement, through like another means that people can judge you, and having the courage to do that, that's also massive. So I can see how that would really transfer with these men. That's awesome, bro. Yeah.
Yes. I call it embodiment. Like you are embodying dance, or you are embodying your spirit's expression. I love using the word like spirit or soul. I guess another word to say is like energy. Like when I speak, it's like there's energy coming from me, right? And this is what I've noticed, the benefit of embodying your knowledge and your consciousness of who you are. We can read books, we can go to like coaching classes, we can watch movies and documentaries and receive knowledge, and it's in our mind. However, unless you are in an experience where you apply the knowledge in your body and feel it in your body and become it, it doesn't become wisdom. And wisdom is like the seed you can you can plant in people's soul and mind and leave them with something that they can ponder upon and grow. And I believe it is a necessity as a human to have the experiences to embody knowledge and consciousness so that we can give wisdom in conversation and influence people into a better life. I'm here. I truly believe that we're all here to lead one another to a better life, man. And that is my core value. It's like to make this world a better place. And if I can do that for myself, that has been through dance and embodying my consciousness and my emotions and feeling myself and allowing myself to express as what I want to authentically and confidently. The embodiment of me and the understanding of me, the knowingness of me. Oof, that's it, bro. I get to know myself so much more when I allow myself to express exactly the fucking way that I want to.
Yeah.
That is confidence.
It's
And if
truth.
truth,
Yeah.
my truth.
Yeah.
And if I can stand in my truth and speak my truth from a space of love and justice, oh, this world will be rid of all the hallucinations, the confusion, and the illusions that a lot of darkness brings in, a lot of false mentors, or a lot of we can use a very exquisite example now. Andrew Tate, like
Yeah.
he's causing some confusion in this
Very
world with
much.
his opinions and his way of life, right? And it causes a sense of hallucination because his value system and the way he perceives the world and his opinions might not be the shared truth of what you, myself, and some other individuals have. So what I'm trying to get at is when I then speak my opinion of my truth and I get heard, that's going to provide a sense of clarity. That's going to provide a sense of opinion and perspective that is going to dispel that hallucination or that illusion or that confusion in reality. And I'm not saying that what he has to say is not right or wrong.
Yeah.
It's just another perception. It's just another lens, but that lens can be confusing for young men.
Yeah, and me and my partner have talked about this a lot because I'm not gonna lie, like I'll probably get hate for this, but there's a lot of the things he says that I think are necessary for a lot of the men now. And like my main point is that there is these younger guys that lack the understanding of the level of like what he's trying to explain, and they'll take it through their limited perception of life. And so you'll get these emotionally volatile men who are unclear, uncertain, haven't gone through any work, and they'll hear what his views are and try and interpret that because they put him on a pedestal. And really what they're even doing that when people are putting this Andrew Tate guy on a pedestal, they're actually like looking at him like a god. They're putting themselves down in the same way. But like that's because they're taking the same energy and putting it into their like putting it out there. So it's like the same thing. Whereas like you've got the guys that are a bit more centered. They're ambitious, they're driven, and they'll hear that and they'll take it through what he's saying and put it into a more of a positive direction. But like everyone does that. Everyone's got experiences, past beliefs, values, and we can all see the one event happen. But it's how we interpret that one event and express that is all completely individual. So it's like I think as well, right? Like Andrew Tate and angry blue hair feminists are like on the same side of the coin. So they're both necessary. Like they empower the feminist movement was very necessary to empower women, right? Like, and that's been great. Women, I love how women are now. They don't hold back. They are strong. They know what they want. Exactly, man. And then it's like now it's a seesaw moment because all these men are disempowered, and people like yourself, like me, we're trying to bring them up now. But you've got Andrew Tate, who's that extreme side. It's all the spectrum. Nothing's black and white.
Yes.
But that's what I think about it personally. So, but yeah, I do think everything happens for a reason. Andrew's come out, and I think I'm not gonna lie. Like I saw what he's done, and maybe you as well. And I see what he's doing, and I think I can do it better. Like there's a better way there's a better way to empower men in a more, I don't know what the best word is. Just I know there's a better way.
There's two things that you said that are so good and worthy of conversation as well, man. It was like pedestalizing people and the effects of that, and also the necessity of having Andrew Tate in this world without blocking him or ridding him, because this is another thing that I've noticed in my movement that surprised me. I'm going to use a man as an example without his name. So this man came in, he's a lot older, he's walked this earth longer than most of us, and his perception and relationship with women was quite coming from a space of just having fun with them, and he would enjoy women a lot and lots of them without being in a monogamous relationship or in a sacred union. And we never once said, bro, stop speaking about your opinion in regards to women and how you treat them and how you have relationships and experiences with them. We never once did that. But over the course of 8 weeks, the more we shared about women and our relationship with women and the experiences that men were sharing about the women in their lives, this man's perception and now relationship with women has completely shifted. Completely shifted, because we never got rid of him. We kept him in the space for conversation so that he can be heard and he can be seen. And at the same time, he can hear and see other men's experiences when it comes to women. And when the majority of men in the space spoke about women from a space of love and the desire of wanting to be in a sacred union or call in one queen that can hold them and love them, this man's desires changed and he shifted. And for me, this is what I was trying to say earlier, like, truth will dispel hallucination and confusion. And I just believe this world could land in so much more truth the more men speak their truth, communicate their desires openly, and express, man. Just fucking show up and express and speak from a space of love instead of getting rid of people and blocking people and their opinion of what they have to say. That is not healthy at all. That is not healthy to just be like, hey, you fucking shut the fuck up. Not good.
Yeah.
I feel like he needs to be heard, he needs to be felt, and also he needs to be involved in conversations when it comes to other men. Other high value individuals that can speak about the same thing and perhaps inspire this man into a better way of thinking and living.
Yeah. And like, he definitely has said some stupid shit. No, like,
we all
I say
do
stupid
that.
shit. Yeah.
We all do, bro.
I understand why everything's gone the way it has. But like, my main point is, it was necessary to bring about certain conversations, because now it's got men questioning, like, what can I do better? You know, like, like, how could I be a better man? Because even like those guys who are like, you know, maybe they're virtue signaling or something, I don't know. They're like, oh yeah, he's a misogynist and that, subconsciously at least, because he was the most Googled man in the world. He was like, you know, those type of guys would start to question, like, okay, what is a good man? So like, the idea of what is a good man is now brought to consciousness in a mass way, which is positive. But again, I don't know, we're probably diving too deep into it, but like, it's you know, there's lots of perspectives.
Yeah. It's all necessary when it comes to speaking about men's work and authentic confidence and truth and even performance, bro. Like, this can be related to performance as well. When it comes to pedestalizing, that's what I wanted to catch.
It's very important.
Like, de-pedestalizing icons is the way of moving forward as leaders. I think pedestalizing, as you said, really separates us from this is it. When I pedestalize people, I diminish my own self and my spirit and my capacity by putting them above me, which doesn't allow me to perform as good as them by my mind. Like, oh no, Michael Jackson he's a king for what he has accomplished. But the moment I considered Michael Jackson as a colleague or a co-worker and a friend, I'm like, no, he's another brother on earth and he's done some cool stuff. I immediately noticed my performance just shoot up so much more, man. And my creativity shoot up so much more because I started accepting that my spirit and my soul and my mind and my body is capable of greatness. And he has inspired me as a man. Instead of an icon, he's inspired me as a brother, as a man. And pedestalizing and diminishing people, I just feel like, is from a system of hierarchy, and we are externally placing value on things instead of intrinsically analyzing where we're at. So then we will treat people differently. If we were to pedestalize people and put people down, we will treat them differently. There's going to be disorder in this world. It's harder to be authentic to people that are above and below you because you're going to speak differently to them. And I just feel like that's also a form of hallucination. We're living in a false reality if we were to look at someone and be like, oh no, he's above me. Oh no, he's below me. Like that's not creating a truthful reality.
Yeah. And you also limit yourself massively. Like you talk about confidence by pedestaling, like you said, you put your own self-worth down. Like you're literally saying what I do is like nowhere compared to that. Like you got to step back and like I think this is like what comes with doing the work. When you step back and go, hang on a second, like how does that make me feel? How does it make me feel knowing that this guy I look up to, I'm also at the same time making myself look shit? Like it doesn't even make sense. And I think it's like, again, you get into, we're gonna go super deep here, right? Like Western culture programming, you know, we got Hollywood, we got these movies, you know, it is an archetype, you know, where you've got like hero's journey and like you aspire to be that, but then it like becomes to what detriment, you know, when you've got a group of people who are really influential in terms of their beliefs, and you've got these people who are being told that you gotta, you know, this person's up here, like they're like almost a demigod, right?
Yes.
It helps no one pedestaling, but that's hard. You had to go through the lesson. Like I had to go through it. Demartini talks about it beautifully. He goes, there's 4,600 and I don't know 20 something traits in human behavior, and every single one of us express all those traits. So as soon as we look at it from this holistic view, we all have the same traits. And as soon as you accept that, you have no limitations because you know that every single person's the same. It's just what you do with it, right? It's how you react. Yeah.
Yes. And you said a very important word as well, man. You said compare. Like when you compare yourself to someone else. And comparison is a very big killer of men as well. And when I say men, like when I compare, I don't become a man, I become a boy, because a boy compares like, oh, he has a better toy than I do. You know, men, I feel like a seed that men can carry with them as wisdom and experience it is not to compare. And comparison breeds so much dysfunction and like creates an imbalance within self, and it diminishes oneself. And comparing like myself to a white man, or comparing myself to someone that's in like Michael Jackson, who's like incredibly achieved so many great things in this world. Comparing myself to him is not justice. Like it doesn't serve me, and if I was to do that, it just diminishes me. So yeah, comparison is huge when it comes to performance as well, man. I feel like as men, when we compare ourselves as performers, whatever field, whatever area, whatever arena that we perform at, it's not going to be good. We can assess it and critically assess it, be like, hey, what he's doing there is really working for him. So I can maybe perhaps garner inspiration so that I can use this tool for my performance. And conversing with each other like this is not comparing. We're just sharing information. And
this is why we need groups of men. Like it's so important, because again, it comes down to the whole thing that men don't feel like they can express themselves. And they don't feel like they can express themselves because they're not even clear on what they're trying to do. So if you're not sure what you're trying to do, then how can you articulate it in words? Because your thoughts are everywhere. So it's like, it's important that you've got to have these have strong men. Once you've got strong men, you can have strong circles. And then once you've got strong circles, you create a strong network. And then that's how society moves forward, because then you've got emotionally balanced men who are having the right discussions, and through that lens is empowering rather than comparing and having all these low frequency bloody thoughts, beliefs, guilt, shame. Like,
Yes, bro. Yes, man. You're nailing some good points on the head here.
No, we have good chats. I'm enjoying this, man. So let's talk about then the direction of what masculinity needs to do, because there's no doubt, like the saying, you know, hard times create strong men, and then strong men create, you know, weaker times, and then weaker men. So we're obviously on that downside. We've had World War II, we've had, you know, the baby boomers, and then the kids, and we're in this time where everything's very comfortable. and then there's people like yourself and I and other great men out there who are trying to re-empower these men again. What's the trajectory? Like what are we looking at for men now? Like in your opinion, what's the next steps? I think guys are taking more responsibility, more accountability, which is great. What's kind of that next level that we need to get to, do you think?
Yeah, there's a few things that really popped into mind, man. I mean, I can rattle off 10 things right now, but the next step, this is for all the leaders. I just really want to speak to all the leaders that are watching this. Yes, personal development is fucking good. You develop yourself. You can put a lot of work in and be like, I am great. I've accomplished all these things. Let's start focusing on community development as leaders. And what that means is gathering people together for a common cause. In common unity, let us come together. Let us share love. Let us share joy. Let us share harmony, melody. Let's experience each other in conversation. Let's find a medium that we can all connect to. For me, that's dance. I use dance as an incredible medium to pull men in together so that we can have these conversations and we can connect with each other. Developing a community, it requires the leader to then embody the community with his values and his discipline. And this is what I believe success is when it comes to men. When it comes to men, raising men as future leaders is to be in a space with other leaders so that we can embody some healthy disciplines and principles and values together so that the men that surround us can see what we do and be like, whoa, man, that's fucking cool. You guys are smashing goals out the park. You guys are dancing. You guys are fucking lifting weight, fitness. You're getting sun. You're sunning your bowls. You're eating meat. You're eating right. You're eating beef liver. Like when they notice all of these disciplines and practices that express in a very healthy way, men are going to be more attracted to it. And we can then build communities, bro. And building communities all over the world of healthy, fit, strong, grounded, centered, aligned values where it's stemming from a place of love, joy, peace, harmony, justice, truth. These core values, if we can embody them as men and as a community, bro, this world will be a better place.
Mate, that's so fucking good. I love that. That is exactly what needs to be done. And it's like it's so crazy because the Stoics or the Greek philosophers, they've literally spoken these for thousands of years. And it's through the deconstruction of the morals that have once built great societies. I truly believe, I could be just nihilistic in this, but I do think that the Western culture has deteriorated these morals that we've held for a very long period of time. It's kind of gone. We've lost faith. We've turned more towards individualistic belief rather than some higher power. It's more individual than that. So, and because it's more individual, we get dehumanized because instead of being in a tribe, we're just ourselves. And then when you're just by yourselves, you can't communicate, you can't express because there's no downside. You just, who cares if you are a menace to society? You've got no group that you need to be scared of, right? You're just on social media and your dark cave keyboard warrior. That's so good. That's really important. You hit that right in the head. That's gonna, hopefully everyone listening got that. Those values are so important to creating a strong life. You get all of those done, discipline, justice, courage, those are so integral to some type of success in anything. You just stay consistent with it. It doesn't matter if you don't feel good, just do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, bro. Showing up, just fucking showing up is important. A lot of men say that I want to achieve this, and when the journey gets really fucking hard, they just don't show up. And if we can, and this is why community is so important, because a community can be like, bro, you're not showing up.
Accountability, man.
Yeah, what's up with that? Why aren't you actually showing up to what you said that you were going to do as a man? And then the man goes, oh, I just need some help. Well, what help do you need? I need a hand with XYZ. Bro, here, let's go.
Let's do it.
Let's get you to where you want to fucking go. And men just showing up is going to change the world, bro.
Yeah.
We've been emasculated. We just need to fucking show up.
Yeah.
Be present and show up and be our word, integral to who we are and what we believe. And I believe that is going to bring this world into so much clarity and so much truth. And yeah, man, my dream, my vision is like living in a world where men embrace each other with so much fucking love, where when we see another man, we have so much love in our hearts instead of comparing ourselves, competing with each other, where we can hold each other in good conversations. And if there's injustice happening, men can show up to that injustice and be like, stop, like that shouldn't be happening right now. This is the world that I want to live in. And strong men doesn't necessarily mean strong. Yeah, physical strength is important for you to realize your capacity of how much you can take on. However, inner strength of like deciding where a man wants to go and going there, and like may that be to a goal, or may that be feeling a dark emotion, or suppressing something that we've been suppressing for a long time, and just allowing ourselves to feel sadness, feel the pain, feel the shame, feel the guilt, and be with it. That is also strength. And I believe more men should be talking like this, man, just fucking talking.
Bang on, man. I love that. That's like I there's no doubt in my mind that this is necessary, right? Like what's happening now, the next 10 years, men wanting to be better, like it's necessary, and like it's really exciting to see like what's going to come of this as well. New policies, new education, new way of doing things, because we've been doing the same shit for like 200 years, man. Like it's time to change. There's a lot of stuff that's going to benefit from it. So yeah,
yes.
Man.
Yes, bro.
That's cool. Oh, what do we do now? That was such a good segment. I really enjoyed the chat. I suppose, yeah, let's dive more into maybe more of your own personal, routines. You've kind of, you had to become a certain person to be able to lead, to, develop men, to hold yourself accountable and the others. And, what was that journey like for you? So, yeah, I know this is probably going to be a long one, but, go back to the start. What was you, I know sometimes you're just born with it. You just know, like, I want to do something great in this world. And you do have to have a bit of confidence to start. So like, what was kind of, where were you, and what was kind of that first introduction into, the man you are now?
Yeah, God, man, that could be a long one. Let me just land this in a very succinct way. So me personally, as my spirit, my soul, my energy, my natural energy is to be really fucking good, is like a desire of mine. Like if there's a sport, I'm like, I just obsess over it. And when I find a new hobby, I'm just like balls deep in it, bro. And that's who I used to be. I just used to obsess over things. And what really got me to where I am is this obsession. And it's hard for me to express that in any other way. Obsession can be or in another definition, obsession can be a deep desire. That's it. It's a deep intrinsic desire. Dr. John D. Martini speaks about your highest values that you spontaneously do from within without needing motivation. So obsession for me was that. I'm like, if I'm obsessing over something, I fucking will do it naturally over and over and over and over again. And for me, that was dance. And for me, there were a few other things as well. Right now, it's business. Like I obsess over business, bro. Business conversations, business podcasts, finance, accounting, all the systems, the structure, the automation, the delegation, managing teams, coming up with all of this and organizing things. Like I obsess over this. And I do this without any motivation. Yes, there are fucking days that really, truly crush me and challenge me, but I get back on the horse. I'm like, I'm just going to keep going. The word that I dropped in here was desire. Desire for me as an energy, as an emotion, as a feeling, a sensation. I've spoken about this so many times. It's what expands me. I'm like, oh, that feels good. Like for me, that feels good. And I want more of that. I want more of that. Not need. I want this.
Yeah.
I want this because I
Different
know.
language.
Yeah. Just like if I desire something and my body feels good, like my body's like excited and it's like, woo, like let's fucking eat that. Let's eat it. And if I feel that for something, I'm gonna make sure that I experience that because there is something divine that's pulling me towards this experience, or pulling this towards a mission or a path or a journey or a conversation that sparks me, that ignites me, that expands me. And expansion is what I want to feel. I want to feel more. I want to feel more of who I am. And that is what I obsess over. The things that make me fucking feel good. And yes, man, we can have discipline in terms of like how we want to show up and the things that we want to do to generate positive emotion throughout the day and in the morning so that we can have very specific calculated days. However, if there is a push, like, oh, I'm fucking push this up the hill, that requires a lot more energy than being pulled. Right? If I truly desire getting up in the morning, doing a little bit of movement, breathing, drinking cacao, cacao is a game changer. And eating well, eating good, man, like good nutritious food. My nutrition was fucking trash before.
And yeah, man, I've seen your stories, bro. The food, mate. I'm gonna come around for dinner, mate.
cooking your own food with good nutritional food, like good nutritional ingredients. Game changer. Eating so well is like my thing. I love eating good, man. Like that's my deepest desire. I want to cook more. I want to eat more. Sun, like these are the things that I'm just pulled towards to, and it doesn't require energy. It replenishes my energy. It adds to who I am instead of take. And that's what I can say in terms of performance. Like I follow a lot of great leaders on social media to just see what they speak about. And I follow leaders that are not spiritual. I follow leaders that are spiritual. I follow leaders that kill it, make millions. And I also am connected and linked up with a lot of incredible leaders here in Perth. And I remember this is what really changed the game for me, man. Because I used to be the kind of person that would get up and have a structure and a routine and do things very methodically. And it felt like I was stuck. It felt imprisoning for me to have that for myself. This is what really changed the game. I was speaking with a restaurant owner. He owns multiple businesses, a good friend of mine, brother Caleb. He is Western Australian Chef of the Year 2021. Incredible cook.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Incredibly high performing individual, bro. For him to have all of this, managing all his staff and the businesses that he has, I asked him, I'm like, bro, how does a man like you wind down? Because you'll be performing on such a high level. And he said this. He said, man, for me, I go up to my rooftop, I pour myself a glass of wine, his own wine, his brand. I light my cigar up, I play my favorite song, and I enjoy myself. And at that moment of life, what I was doing to wind down was magnesium. I would be fucking foam rolling, or I would be doing things, doing like 10 fucking things to wind down, because I thought winding down required all these disciplines for my body to wind down. Instead, just allowing myself to let go, relax, and do what my heart desires. That changed the game for me. From that moment onwards, I've just started following my heart with my mission, my life, and it's felt so much more easier. And it's felt, I feel more life. I feel more life.
I just want to touch, because it's like live now. Like, I think that in itself, you've just encapsulated what it means to be clear. And like, I can't stress the importance, and like you would do the same in your course, and I do the same. Like the first thing you do is get clear. Once you're clear, you move outside of the amygdala, the fight or flight, the reptilian brain, and you move into your executive function, which is foresight, planning. And when you're in that, you can start being more aware of your emotions. And that's what you're talking about. I'd say what you're talking about is intuition. You're not going to listen to like, what is the like, I guess it's almost like you've got your logic, and then you've got like what you think is right, or your whatever it is controlling us. Like your logic would say following what you feel like is almost like inefficient, and like following, then your logic brain will go, well, following like a structure and based on like this millionaire, like surely should yield similar results. But like that is true to some extent, but I honestly think that when you're living in a very clear way of life, and like subconsciously is now conscious about every situation, you've got like your top goals, your vision, the next like 3 years plan, you like just react, and like you react with I don't even know what the word would be, like you just react with aligned, that's it, you just aligned action, like that's what it is, like an inspired action. DeMartini says that. Yeah, you know what I mean? And that's exactly what you're saying. I think what you've got that, like, and that's what I stand for at High Performance Management, is combining that with things like exercising, high performance habits. Hey, nice, man. Yeah, I love Brendan. Brendan's actually, we will go there. He's the guy that got me into everything I'm in now. Like,
wow.
When I was 2015, I was in and out of depression, suicide watch. I was smoking a lot of drugs and drinking and everything. And it was Brendan Burchard and Tony Robbins, and that's what got me into everything.
Champions, bro.
Yeah, shout out to them.
Man, what you touched on is really important. Clarity breeds like truth. Truth, like, yes, that is true for me. And if one can structure values are so important, bro. Like, I can't express that enough. Desires are great to have, but when desires are coming from a space of no values, then we are just going to be pulled in so many different directions. Oh yeah, I'll come hang out with you. Oh yeah, party. Like,
you subordinate yourself.
And having clear values is going to provide so much more clarity, and for us to be able to see, you know what, that is actually not of my highest value for me to do that right now in this moment or in the future. So no, I won't do that. And when no happens, it creates more spaces for yes to come through.
Man,
that's all the intuition and like I guess you can call it the feminine nature of who we are feeling. And it is so important to also be masculine and plan shit out. And that's why I got this out. High performance planner. Like, this has changed the fucking game for me, bro. Yeah. Just writing out my next day and be like, this is what I want to fucking do. Like, these things are exactly what I want to commit to. And when I do those things that I've committed to, I feel great.
I'm man.
Oh, these are the things that I felt that is going to inspire me, and I've done it.
Yes. How good does it feel, bro? At the end of the day, you're like, fuck, man, I did so much. But then, like, how many times, how many times do you do something like that where you don't plan it, and then your day gets filled up with all this shit? Like DeMartini says, if you don't fill your day with high priority actions, it'll be filled with low priority distractions. And like, it's so true, bro. It's so true. There's days where, like, even if like I just set 4 things and I achieve it in like 3 hours, even if I did nothing the rest of the day, the fact that I designed my day and I lived it and I did it based on the highest values, man, I felt amazing compared to just floating through the day. And then you're like, fuck, how did I end 2 hours doing this here? Like, I didn't really want to do that.
Man, I feel you. And I also want to speak into this, which I don't think a lot of high performers have spoken into. I'm not too sure if they have spoken into it or not, but I want to speak into this. I'm not a fucking saint. I'm going to speak my truth and say that, yes, I do all these things, but man, I do have fucking weeks or days where it's shit. Where everything that I do just doesn't work, where I wake up and I feel so unmotivated and so drained and broken in the sense of like not wanting to get out of bed till like fucking 11 a.m. because I'm just needing the rest. And there are days that I wake up and I just don't want to fucking do anything or talk to anyone as well. And those days are really hard, man, because as like I own four different projects and four different movements and businesses, and there are roles and responsibilities that I have to show up for in these four things that are an extension of me. And when I don't fucking feel like doing it, I feel like I'm letting all of them down.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to speak from my heart and say that those days are really hard. And I have them, and I do have them. And I have multiple of those days throughout the months. And for example, like 2 days ago, I fucking wrote all the things I wanted to do, but I got fuck all done. And I was like, man, like it happens to me. And I catch myself in the moments of like almost beating myself up for it and just going, you know what, my body actually doesn't want to fucking do it. It's not of my desire to do this right now. And I just allow myself to do the best that I can on those days and write it off and prepare myself for the next day.
Yeah, that's very important. That's so good what you said. I agree. Like there is those days, and I think this one mindset tip. This is what I use because I do the same. I do the exact same thing. Like it's like you're speaking myself, right? The best thing I've noticed in those situations is I just have non-negotiables. Like just one or two. Like because even on those shit days, like I know they're coming. Like it's they're in the future. I already know it's going to happen, and it's a fantasy to think that that's not going to happen. You're literally not the same every day. Like I did this experiment where I wrote down at the start of every day how I felt and then what I achieved. I did that for like 30 days, and then like I looked at it, and it was literally like a cyclic thing of like, oh yeah, I was a 10 out of 10, like almost like a manic fucking like, oh, I'm gonna do so much shit, to then like days where like I couldn't even be bothered like brushing my teeth, like. But I realized, like I looked back and I was like, okay, like I actually it's literally constantly up and down, but it's like how do you mitigate those low days and how do you mitigate the high days and keep it centered? And that's like, I think this is important. Like what you said is bang on. Like you're not going to have the good days all the time. It's about staying true to like just at least the non-negotiables, like moving, at least as long as you're moving a little bit forward, that's fine.
Yep. If that means fucking bringing your laptop to your bed and doing those things and making those calls and sending those messages, fucking do it. If that means you want to, sit in bed and watch Netflix after you've done that, fucking do that. Like, man. I think like performance is great, and being a high performer is like, it's a massive responsibility. It's good to be high performing, but at the same time, we're all fucking humans, bro. We're not here to only just perform. We're here to experience. We're here to love. We're here to feel. And life is a felt experience. You're not going to come up to someone, hey, bro, what are you thinking right now? You're not going to ask them what they're thinking. You're like, hey, bro, how are you feeling?
I love that. So,
like, I think
we're human beings, not human doings.
That's a good one. That's a good one too, man. And I feel like we should just make time to feel and make time to slow down, because high performers, myself included, like I fucking go balls to the wall, man, like boom, and it's so hard for me to turn off, and that causes burnout, which then causes so much more energy to take me back up to where I was, instead of just doing a little bit consistently throughout my months and weeks, so that there's a gradual progression instead of like
100%, bro. That's exactly what I've been doing recently. That's like a new insight I've had. I would just beat myself up if I didn't achieve like a certain amount. But really, I will go back to comparing. I was just comparing how much I did on that day to another day where I was just fucking like, balls to the wall. Like I just had so much energy. I did everything like plus more. So then on those low days, you're like, fuck, what was I doing on that day differently? But it's not. It's just you're different. Like life is constantly changing. It's not different in your own life.
Yes. You know what, man? As a high performer, I will say one has to have as a non-negotiable, slowing down and rest. Like in your week, a Sabbath has to happen where you're not doing anything. where you're not doing anything that's gonna fucking like even like cleaning the house. No, just like resting, eating well, sleeping, going for a magnesium float, sauna, like just things that like bring back so much you time. For me, like me time is so important, and like slowing down and feeling myself.
Yeah.
Man, like the other day, I'm just going to be open and vulnerable here. I felt like so much tension on my chest, and I had so much things to show up to, but I chose to just go into my room and just feel myself and slow down. And when I felt myself, my body just wanted to cry. My body just wanted to cry. And I don't know why, but as soon as I started crying, all the emotions started flowing through, and there was rage, there was anger, I was just crying, and I was feeling different parts of me just pop up, just wanting to be felt and wanting to be held. Once I made time for myself like that, man, like I felt so much more clearer, and massive weight has been lifted off my shoulder. And I was like, cool, let's go.
And you're back. And you're
Yeah.
back. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I
And if
love
I
that.
didn't slow down, I wouldn't have given myself the fucking time and place and
Yeah.
space to feel myself and be with myself.
And then who knows what would have happened? You could have just exploded. And this is what I was saying before about like people that aren't aware, like yourself, of those times where you're feeling these emotions and you let yourself feel it and you understand that they're necessary. Because I guarantee you that when you're in your room and you're realizing anger and frustration, they're not just like, they're not bad. Like you look at it, you're like, oh, I was angry because of this. And it's like, oh, okay. So if I could do this better. And it's like, because of that anger, you actually realize a certain thing about yourself and you balance it out. Like, and that's what you did. And that's why you had like this energy after. But it's like, there's those emotionally volatile men that aren't clear. They're not confident. They're very stagnate in their life, and they just let that, they don't let it like express, and they're like a time bomb. And then that's how school shootings happen. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And another big tip for high performers as well, I guess, is regulating your nervous system. Just having tools to regulate your nervous system, because high performers, I find myself getting fucking jacked, like jacking my nervous system. So it's like, like doing a lot, right? But then just having the space to regulate my nervous system. And that is by slowing down, breathing, meditating, baths, taking care of oneself, eating well, sun.
Yeah.
So many good things, man. So many fucking good golden nuggets have been dropped in this.
Dude, I loved it. I've loved all of this. I think it's somehow been an hour and 10 already. Like I've only like it's just flown by. Yeah, 100%. There's been a lot of gold nuggets. I think 100% the men that are out there listening to this, like I already know, like you're gonna go away. Like I feel like I've come away with something, you know. So, you know, those guys that are just getting into personal development and everything like that, like they're gonna get a lot from this. I guess like I'll probably like leave with like maybe one last question. Like in those darkest times you've had, what was, if you were to go back now, what would be like the most effective piece of advice you could give yourself that will gently bring you out of it? Because I know like I've been super brutal with like trying to get out of those dark holes. Well, if you, with this new knowledge you have now, yeah, what's the most effective advice you could give yourself in those dark times?
Pray to God. Form a relationship with your maker. Man, I've been in so many dark moments in this journey of entrepreneurship. I was balled up in the corner of the dining room, crying, wanting to quit, thinking about I should get a second job somewhere because of the pressure and everything that I was feeling of, this journey that I've been on. And in those moments, in those darkest moments, I just prayed, bro. I just went, God, I come to you in this moment of despair and misery, and I seek clarity. I seek truth. Give me the strength. Give me the courage. Give me peace. Give me love. I ask for these things from my maker in those darkest moments, and he has given me those in those darker moments, which then allowed me to keep praying every single day, not as a discipline, but just as my reverence to the creator of all of this, brother.
Mm.
All of this, like you and I wouldn't be having this conversation if he didn't create us. Just giving thanks and praise and connecting with him and saying, thank you for the sunshine. Thank you for the food. I pray before I eat all the time. I pray before I go to sleep. I pray for protection. I pray for joy. I pray for money. I pray for my family's health. Like I have conversations with God all the time, bro. And this connection, the more I find God and seek God, the more I find God within me.
Oof.
And that level of confidence to know that I'm backed by my God, that he will descend down and step into this world as me, through me, that level of confidence cannot be faked.
Mm.
And I give all thanks and praise to him for who I am and how I am. And he has created me, you, in his image, and forming a relationship with spirit, with God, whatever it is for you, man. Like if it's Allah, if it's Jesus, if it's Buddha, if it's Krishna, if it's Shiva, like any of these gods that you resonate and can feel, and if you want to thank them, like that's your God. Just form a relationship like this with your maker. Don't just go to him and be like, hey God, I'm really broke right now, do you have any money for me? Oh God, I'm really struggling right now. How would you feel if there was a friend that did that to you?
Yeah, no, you wouldn't.
You wouldn't want to fucking hang out with him. But he still has so much mercy that he will give you that when you ask from him. So that's the one thing I can leave, bro. Connect with your maker.
I love that. It's a bit different as well from, I think, there's, like I said, there's been a disconnect from faith. So it's a really interesting, point of view. I appreciate that. Sweet, man. Cool. We'll leave it there. But where can people find you, man?
Instagram. You want to go to Instagram and you want to type in these words. You want to type in chocolate_daddy. Daddy spelled with DADDIE. Chocolate Daddy is my tag. All my movements, my businesses are under that. And thank you guys so much for listening to me. Corey, I thank you for having me on this incredible podcast, bro. It's been a pleasure just sharing words. This is one of my highest values, to have conversations and connecting with people. So it's been a beautiful journey of conversation and wisdom and energy that's flowed between you and I am so grateful for that, bro.
Dude, thank you. I couldn't have said that better. I totally agree. Thanks for coming on, brother. And I reckon you'll come on another time for sure.
Yes, sir.
See you later,
Yes,
man.
sir. See you, bro.